their inactions to resist, to fight and dismantle colonialism, describing them as savagery, describing them as terrorism, describing them as barbarism. And this has happened in the 18th and 19th century. It happened with the Algerians, it happened with Vietnamese, and it happens again with the Palestinians. I think we need to put an end into this false equivalence between the colonizers and the colonized, because colonized people have the legitimate right to resist with any means necessary. This year coincides with the 70th anniversary of an epic battle called Dien, where the Vietnamese revolutionaries inflicted a crushing defeat on French colonialists. 6 months later, the Algerians declared their war against the French. These two important chapters of anti-colonial history continue to be inspiring for generations of oppressed and colonized peoples, and continue also to inspire Palestinians. I think it is very important to commemorate these two inspiring moments of struggle, but also draw the parallels and the connections between both the Vietnamese and Algerian struggles and the ongoing Palestinian liberation struggles, where Palestinians continue with their resolute resistance against Zionist settler colonialism. And I think in the context of 2024 as the 70th anniversary of two important moments in the Algerian and Vietnamese revolutions, it's really important to resituate the Palestinian liberation struggle within that long trajectory of anti-colonial revolutions that go back to the 18th and 19th century, from the Haitian Revolution to the Algerians, to the Vietnamese, to the South African and other colonized people in the world. Because what we've seen in the last year in terms of the genocide that followed the Hamas actions in the 7th of October, we saw a lot of hesitations coming from various progressive circles in terms of, again, using the same language against colonized people, their inactions to resist, to fight and dismantle colonialism, describing them as savagery, describing them as terrorism, describing them as barbarism. And this has happened in the 18th and 19th century. It happened with the Algerians, it happened with Vietnamese, and it happens again with the Palestinians. I think we need to put an end into this false equivalence between the colonizers and the colonized, because colonized people have the legitimate right to resist with any means necessary. And in here, I have the words of Mandela coming to my mind when he said, it's always the oppressor who decides on the nature of the struggle, because the oppressed find themselves forced to use methods that mirror those used by the oppressor. So I think we need to support Palestinians in their resistance and in their struggle for liberations, and try to draw connections and parallels between the various struggles, because this struggle against colonialism, against imperialism, and against capitalism continue till today. And we need to immerse ourselves into that history of anti-colonial struggle that is a history of hope, a history of dreams, where colonized people, dare to imagine a different world, a world where colonial hierarchies disappear, a world where imperialist domination is crushed, a world where capitalist exploitation ceases to exist.